Vladimir Putin and Angela Merkel enjoy interesting exchange at G20 Summit. A candid exchange between two of the world's most powerful leaders has been exposed at the G20 Summit. Much of the focus of the summit in Hamburg has been on the interaction between U.S. President Donald Trump and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. But host German Chancellor Angela Merkel has been front and center too. Cameras at the event have caught a curious face-to-face encounter between President Putin and Chancellor Merkel, in which the German leader appears to roll her eyes in response to something the Russian strongman had to say. Chancellor Merkel said she would not hold back with her fellow leaders prior to the summit. "We are not going to paper over the differences, but rather, we will call discord," she said. Russia's support of the Assad regime in Syria has upset a number of nations, while there are fears the claims of Kremlin interference in the U.S. election could spread to other countries. President Trump didn't shake hands with Chancellor Merkel during an Oval Office photo opportunity earlier this year. A ride in the beast. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull's satirical impersonation of President Trump doesn't appear to have affected relations between the two countries. Mr. Turnbull enjoyed a ride in Mr. Trump's bulletproof and bomb-proof presidential limo, nicknamed the Beast, through the streets of Hamburg, as protesters fought pitched battles with German authorities. The car, which is said to cost over $1.5 million, comes complete with bulletproof glass almost 15 centimeters thick, an oxygen tank, and even a liter of the president's blood type, ferried Mr. Trump and Mr. Turnbull and their respective wives Melania and Lucy on Friday night after the first full day of the summit. The group of 20 leaders and their partners spent their evening at a spectacular new landmark that dominates Hamburg's harbor, the Elbphilharmonie Concert Hall, with its wave-shaped roof and shiny glass facades. The leaders were there at the event, hosted by Chancellor Merkel, to hear Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, conducted by American Kent Nagano. The G20 campaign will focus on terrorist activities on the Internet, said Chancellor Merkel, who chairs the G20 Summit. Action on the issue had been promoted at the summit by Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull. Under their plan, the G20 wanted to call on Internet providers to act quickly to remove terrorist content on their Internet platforms. Merkel. She said the G20 members wanted to make clear that they expect such things to be deleted quickly, adding that such matters were time-sensitive when it comes to terrorist propaganda. The G20 is also planning action to crack down on the financial sources for terrorists, underlining the sense of urgency about the anti-terrorist fight by including in its final declaration. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said on Friday that the U.S. and Kremlin leaders had agreed to set up the cybersecurity working group at a bilateral meeting on the sidelines of the G20 summit, the Russian news agency TASS reported. It was agreed that all of these issues, including anti-terrorism efforts, the fight against organized crime and hacker activities in any of their manifestations, will be a focus of bilateral Russian-U.S. cooperation, TASS quoted Lavrov as saying. A bilateral working group will be set up for these ends, Lavrov said. Outside the heavily guarded G20 conference hall, protesters wreaked havoc, engaging in running battles with police in the all day as the rattle of helicopters was heard overhead. The activists blocked U.S. First Lady Melania Trump at her residence for hours as they torched cars, smashed shop windows, fired flares at police helicopters, and even slashed tires on vehicles belonging to the Canadian delegation. The violence forced Hamburg police to call in reinforcements from other German states, and G20 organizers to drastically curtail an official program for spouses of visiting dignitaries. G20 host Merkel condemned the violence, saying she could understand peaceful protests, but demonstrations that put people's lives in danger, put the protesters' own lives in danger, are unacceptable.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe my STC News channel. Goodbye and see you again.